so that all of you guys can sit in on this journey from taking it from $6,500 a month in sales to over $100,000 a month in sales, 15x within 12 months. We might not be able to do it, but we're going to document it along the way. We will not be shaving until we hit that 100K mark. So our beards could get really long.
Could be scruffy around here.
Welcome back, everyone, to That Amazon Ads podcast, where we're kicking off an extremely exciting series, scaling a brand from practically non-existent sales to over $1 million a year in sales. We're going to try to do that in under 12 months. Andrew, do you think we can do it?
I think we can do it. We signed up for it. We got a lot of work to do. It's going to be a really competitive product to try to get up to that level, but we're here for it.
Yeah, the actual milestones, we're going to be looking at the monthly level. So for the last month, they did about $6,500 in sales. We're going to try to get that to over $100,000 a month in sales by 12 months from now. So that's around 15x increase. And Andrew, what do we got going on with our faces as we commensurate this launch? Is commensurate a word? I got to look that up while you answer.
I think it is, but yeah, you might be noticing the lack of scruff, looking a little different, looking a little baby face-ish. Me and Steven both shaved our face. Steven actually talked me into it. I didn't want to do it, but he talked me into it. We're breaking into the second half of 2024, and we have some big plans. And one of those is this series where we're going to be going through step by step, showing you from first working with the account, having no experience. Today, we're going to be giving you our first look at how we're looking at this account and what we think. And we're going to show you step by step how we go and actually build it up to where we're getting 100K in sales a month. And we're going to be doing a lot of different stuff with that, both ads, and then we have a business partner, a friend of yours, Steven, that's going to be helping out with the content side of things. So they're going to be getting both the PPC side as well as the listing side of things. And we think that in combination could really lead to a lot of success and growth for this brand.
Yeah, and we will not be shaving until we hit that 100K mark. So our beards could get really long, or we could back out of this.
Could be scruffy around here.
Yeah, could be scruffy. And going back to that word, commensurate, no, definitely not the word I was looking for. I think I was probably thinking of like consummate or inaugurate. Doesn't really matter. Sometimes I try to say big words to sound smart, and then I make it apparent to everybody just how dumb I really am. However, what we are excited about with this brand is, in the past, whenever Andrew and I are talking about accounts that we work on or whatever, everything has to remain cryptic, anonymous. We can't even reveal the exact keywords that we're using. We've always got to use something generic like tennis rackets or whatever. But we got permission from this brand to fully disclose everything, the brand name, the product listings, the total sales data, so that all of you guys can sit in on this journey from taking it from $6,500 a month in sales to over $100,000 a month in sales, 15x within 12 months. We might not be able to do it, but we're going to document it along the way. We're still going to continue doing our normal podcast episodes, but periodically we'll trickle in a little update on this brand and what the next steps are as we're taking it from stage 1 to stage 2, etc.
Yep, absolutely. That's what I'm most excited about, is the fact that we're going to be able to show you behind the scenes, over the shoulder style content without having to put all that extra work on the upfront to anonymize everything so we don't share sensitive client information and all that type of stuff. This really is a way for us to pull back the curtain on how we do things and show you, because this is really going to be super valuable for you to see the step-by-step process, everything we're looking at, how we're considering, how we're optimizing bids, how we're launching new campaigns. You're going to get a deep look, over the shoulder style look, showing you exactly step-by-step how to do this. And I think this is going to be super valuable, especially for anybody just getting started in Amazon PPC or trying to refine their processes and make their workflow a little bit better. You're going to learn a lot from this.
And step 1 of every new account, step 1 is the audit. So with that, let's dive into this very first episode of the journey of scaling an Amazon brand with our audit. Let's dive in. All right, so if you guys saw episode 56 on how to do a campaign audit, this Google Doc that we've got pulled open right now should look very familiar to you. We are not going to rehash everything that we covered in that episode. Just go back and watch that episode 56 on how to do a campaign audit if you want to see more into this. What Andrew and I are going to do right now is, frankly, we're just going to be taking a very first glance at this product and the campaigns and everything that's been going on. It's all pretty new to us, so we haven't really got a chance to do a deep dive. We're going to be doing it real time as we record. But Andrew, really quickly, why don't you just let everyone know, we got the product listing page here. Anything that immediately jumps out at you, or what's the first thing you're going to be trying to look at here?
Yeah. So first things first, when you're looking at that product page, product detail page, that main image is going to be the first thing that's going to capture your attention or push you away from the listing. And so first things first, we're checking out this one. We've got the variety pack, which is showing, multiple different flavors. Looks like some secondary images. I like the fruit. I like the benefit statements and things like that. But yeah, those first initial thoughts, I think they're doing a couple good things. We have to see what kind of video we got there.
Yeah. We're going to on a later episode, we'll do a little bit more in-depth analysis around the images and the videos and what can be better there. You guys probably remember our guest Luke Melrose, who came on the show a few months ago, and he's really the expert on that factor, and he's also going to be helping out with this listing as well, with getting some stuff up. Right now, I mean, just looking at the listing, no major concerns, I would say. Nothing glaring at us where it's like, yikes, you have 2-star reviews or whatever, like you're not retail ready. There's always room for improvements, but for the most part, things are looking pretty good. So Andrew, where do you want to jump to next?
Yeah, like you said, decent content, decent reviews. The next place we'd start to look is we'd go through that list, total performance. Let's get an idea of, what kind of sales each of these products are driving. Let's look at the concentration of each product across the catalog. So we've got this monthly performance tracker, and I pulled this together. I do this probably for every single account that I work on. I'll go back and I'll pull the monthly data from the business reports section of Seller Central or Vendor Central and just get the monthly totals by ASIN, by child ASIN, pull those, add them to a sheet like this. And I'm not going to go through and show you exactly how to build this in this episode because I've already done it in another video and it's being made and it's coming out. It's going to show you exactly how to build this. But what this does is it allows you to track total product performance, total sales per product in a very quick and easy way. Generally speaking, if you're trying to do year over year or month over month analysis for total sales, you'd probably have to go to business reports, download this month's data, last month's data, and last year's data, and then do some comparisons. This allows you to skip that, allows you to just download one report every month, add it to the sheet, and then it populates this dashboard where you can see a nice trend chart. You can see year over year changes, month over month changes, all that type of stuff. And really allows you to get granular with how you're viewing each individual product's performance. So even if you scroll up there, there's a little drop down at the top where you see product. And if you click that all button.
It spells product.
Oh, well, yeah.
Just
obviously, I haven't spent a whole lot of time. I haven't spent a whole lot of time on this one. But if you click that, you can see all those different options for products. So if you just wanted to see like one individual product, how that performance has been on, let's say, the mango passion fruit or the variety pack, one or the other, we can change the filter and now your chart's updated and you've got your monthly total sales data. You can see, year to date, year over year trend, month over month, year over year percentage differences and all that type of stuff. So generally speaking, this is going to be super helpful going forward for us keeping a pulse on how things are trending overall, allowing us to break down and see how each individual product is performing from a total perspective. And then we're going to break into a few other things within this, but yeah, this is a good way to help with reporting out total sales impact, drawing correlations between what your ads are doing and the impact that they're having on the top line of the business.
Right. Yeah, this is a super helpful visual spreadsheet for everything, for number one, for audits, number two, just for ongoing, just like your own kind of dashboard of keeping a track on tabs of everything going on. So I'm looking forward to that video, Andrew, that you made whenever that comes out. Hopefully soon. So the recording is all done. It's now just kind of going through like editing and processing. But I mean, what I'm looking at here is obviously the things that capture my eye is around the launch day. I think the brand owners had mentioned that they had some kind of deal or something going on with Amazon that gave them a really good like initial visibility, or maybe it was some other third-party system they were using. So they got that initial kind of big sales boost, getting them out the door, and then since then sales have kind of been stagnant. They've been, I should say they have been growing, but if we look at what happens with the advertising here, so we're looking at the 2024 data, looking at the ad cost of total sales data and what's going on with the ad spend. It looks like in June, they attempted to really increase the ad spend to see if they could move the needle on sales. Unfortunately, it does not seem like they moved the needle very efficiently. As you can see, the ad cost of total sales went from 7% to 21%. So they practically tripled that with the tripling of their budget, and not as much impact on the total sales side. In fact, it's even less than it was back in April. So if we just open up the ad console here, which I don't have a switch over to sponsored ads, campaign manager. As you can see, looking at just the last month of performance, once it loads, that last month in June, a cost of around 200% with $1,400 worth of ad spend. Definitely some room for optimizations here. So, Andrew, when you're seeing that, I mean, what's like the first question or alarm that goes off in your head?
How is that spend being allocated and distributed across placements is kind of the first place my mind goes. How is bid optimization being done, essentially? And basically we scaled up spend. Obviously that spend wasn't going to placements that were actually converting super well. Obviously just spiked the spend and didn't really see a great return on that additional spend. So that tells me we were driving to a lot of low conversion placements, or the product page isn't converting as well. But I've looked at the product page conversion rates and it's not that bad. So I'd have to lean on the campaign placements as the next place to kind of look to investigate and see what's going on below the surface of these ads to actually figure out why they're not driving any sort of volume.
Right. Yeah. We're going to want to be looking at essentially like where are the dollars going? Like that was a lot of spend and we didn't really get many sales for it. So where did that go? We're going to want to look at the top spending campaigns, the top spending keywords, the top spending search terms, as well as the top spending placements. Now, big mistake that people always do that I think we've mentioned before, perhaps not, but I see a lot of times people make a mistake of filtering by highest ACoS. So let's just see what would happen if we I mean, all these campaigns are really high ACoS for last month, but let's try it again and look at, highest ACoS for last month. I mean, there's not too many. Okay, so there's quite a lot going on. Clearly, they started pausing a bunch of campaigns because they realized this was really high ACoS. But also, I mean, this is probably like the biggest offender for the account because this one has a super high ACoS and really high spend. So I didn't quite get to the example I was trying to get to, which is where sometimes when people sort by high ACoS, they'll have something that has high ACoS but not a lot of spend, so like $70 or whatever, and it's overshooting. Whereas they could have something that's spending like $1,000 at like 100% ACoS, and that one's going to be doing quite a bit more damage than something that's has higher ACoS on low spend. But in this case, we got a ton of stuff that is both high spend and really high ACoS. So these are all the things that we need to clean up. However, Andrew and I, we're not going to go through here one at a time and open up every single individual one of these campaigns and look at all the different search terms and keywords in them one at a time. We always prefer to do things on bulk sheets and in reports. So where did that? Oh, that's where we were in the sponsored ads reports before. So Andrew, you went through and you downloaded in the sponsored ads reports a whole bunch of different reports. You want to tell people really quickly like why you pulled these reports down and what you did with them?
Yeah, for sure. So anytime I'm coming into a new account, I like to get as much data as I can get my hands on. If I don't have a third-party tool that's pulling in and piping in all that data, I got to come to Amazon to find it. So as you can see here, I've pulled two different types of reports twice. So I may have said that wrong. I pulled two reports, one for May, one for June, in a variety, like 4 different types of reports. But I pulled the ad product report to give me a sense of where the ads are going, where's the spend going by product, see which products are performing the best. Search term reports, I got May and June for that, just looking at how that spend is being allocated. We're probably going to look at brand, non-brand, going to look at, all types of stuff. There's a bunch of different things we can look at from search term report. Placement report, going to get an idea where that spend's going. And then search term impression share, I just added that one to see like how competitive we are on some of these non-brand searches, and we can get an idea of that. So those are some of the reports. You could pull more. I mean, you could start pulling in sponsored brands, sponsored display stuff too, but they aren't running any sponsored brands or display. So it's just sponsored products for here.
Nice. Keeps it simple. And then how much of that stuff made it into this sheet that you're working on or not yet?
Yeah, some of it has. So if you go to like the like the monthly data tab, I mean, there's a few things. So I added the ad spend in for the last 2 months into that monthly data tab. You have to scroll over to the right and go all the way down. But for May and June, I just VLOOKUP to the impressions, clicks, spend, sales, orders for each of those products for each month. So that's in there now. And going forward, we'll just do the same thing. It's a pretty small catalog. And so just doing this manually takes, just a few minutes.
Yep.
You have an ASIN list there. I just have that there to quickly be able to VLOOKUP like the flavor if I'm trying to tag stuff. So like in my monthly data tab, I have a column for product or whatever it was. And
yeah.
and I just VLOOKUP
if I
off the
change
ASIN
this title,
what the
will it
product is.
fix it on the other one?
Yeah, you can fix it right now if you want to.
Cool. Nice. Also, you said you VLOOKUP'd. I was wondering if it was VLOOKUP'd or is it VLOOKED up?
I VLOOKed it up.
I don't know. I looked up with V. Cool. Well, yeah, there's definitely a lot here now. Like with things like the placements, to aggregate that performance, you got to download these 2 different reports, create all these pivot tables to group the data around specific placements, and then you can look at your 1 month to the other month, and same with search terms, same with advertised products, all that kind of stuff. We're not going to do that for this episode because that's going to make it like 20 times longer. All of that's in AdLabs. So frankly, we're just going to go into AdLabs and just say like, hey, we want to see what's going on with the placements. I don't know if it's by default that things are grouped by placements, but you just like, we have all of our different placement types. How many is that in total? 72 different placements, unique placements for each campaign. We're just going to drag and drop that and just take a look at what's going on here. And overall, some interesting stuff. Apparently, rest of search has driven 0 sales on quite a big chunk of spend. We can pull in some other things here too. Rest of search seems to actually be underperforming by a large margin. Product pages, no surprise, underperforming there. ACOS up at 300%. Top of search doing quite a bit better. So, Andrew, do you remember what the client said the target ACOS was for these products?
Oh man, good question. I don't know off the top of my head. I'll have to look back at notes.
Yeah.
I know that we put a cap on total ACOS of 30% is kind of what we were shooting
right.
for.
Yeah. Total ACOS while we're in the launch phase of no higher than 30%. I think that was around maybe the break even on these. Mm-hmm. So in a perfect world, they're getting by with a 30% ACOS on the advertising side of things, and then they're making a bunch of profit back on the organic sales. But given how competitive this product category is, I mean, it's supplements, it's electrolytes, it's hydration, it's a pretty crowded space. We already see that like these CPCs can get extremely high, and that's without us really even trying to push too much too far. So overall, I mean, it's going to be a competitive category, and I'm very curious to see what we can do to kick things off and to get these sales growing and flowing. However, Andrew, I mean, we're going to want to launch a whole bunch of new campaigns. If we look at like the current campaign strategy and structure, it's not too bad. Anything like jump out at you right now from just looking at these campaign names and what's going on here?
Based on the campaign names, it looks like some of their top spenders are like broad match campaigns. I also see a great deal of segregation going on here, segmentation of these campaigns. A lot of them are single keyword campaigns. Pretty well built out in terms of refinement, and you should be able to control these things pretty closely with how it's built out. But I just kind of poked into some of those top spending broad campaigns, and it looks like, there's some work to be done there for sure. So,
I'm deciding to change the date range to include all of May and June to perhaps smooth it out, because I know they did like a big push with their ad spend in June. So this might balance out some of the ad spend here and give us some better data points. So this is actually looking
much better,
quite a bit better. Yeah. Still seeing rest of search seems to underperform, which is interesting, not super uncommon. I have seen this for some brands where product pages actually does better. The big question there is like, where did these sales on product pages come from? Did that come from brand defense campaigns primarily? Like all of that could influence it. So you could create additional filters where, the select campaigns, like you don't make sure you're removing anything that's brand defense or anything like that. So you can create those sub-classifications. We just haven't gotten a chance to do that quite yet. But we can come through here and also double check our search terms and see where are we spending most of these dollars. So once again, drag and drop to aggregate that data. Basically just created a pivot table from your search term reports. Like Andrew was saying over here on the Amazon ads, if you want to do this yourself, you just download one for May, one for June, watch the other video that's coming out with how to create those pivot tables. But for the sake of speed and efficiency of this video, we're not going to recreate that now.
I think we even have those videos already created. We did that series of Amazon reporting. So you might be able to go back and watch those and learn something.
I don't know if we show. Oh, yeah, maybe.
You remember what I'm talking about?
We did like a little 4-part series.
I don't know. Yeah.
I don't think we ever did pivot tables on that. Maybe we did. I forget. If we did, show notes. Check it. Okay, so what are you seeing here, Andrew? What's catching your attention?
I see several targets, at least 7 or 8 that are high spend, not converting, no sales driving, basically. So
yeah, these are search terms, by the way, not targets.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So I see a whole lot of competitor targeting going on here too. So naturally, those are going to be pretty low conversion rate, conversion targets. Interesting that we're spending so much on those.
Yeah. So this is like Element
picked up.
Element is the is a competitor brand here, and that's getting a lot of spend. And these campaigns are supposedly, just like phrase and broad match targeting, going after electrolyte, and we're picking up Element electrolytes. So in my opinion here is that for these types of keywords, like if you're really trying to grow and scale on the keywords electrolytes, etc., then you don't necessarily want to be going after conquesting. You'd probably want to have a separate campaign there that's more focused on picking up these competitor keywords. You don't want those to be bleeding over to your other campaigns, which should be more focused on growing the sales for like those non-brand, more generic category terms.
Yeah, totally. So having those Element electrolyte keywords slip in there where we're obviously not getting any sales or any conversion. The fact that we're bidding on competitor terms in our non-brand keyword campaigns could potentially be the reason why we're seeing such low conversion rates, in rest of search and all those things that we just looked at, just because we're bleeding out into those competitor terms where, we're not likely to generate sales. So yeah, we could clean that up for sure and segment out the true non-brand keywords and the true competitor keywords and manage those budget allocations a little bit better.
Boom.
Right. Yeah. What that would essentially allow us to do is, and we can convert this search term tab into a targeting tab by just dragging and dropping the targets. Now we've grouped it by all of the actual keywords that we're going after and get a slightly different view here. So now you can see where most of that spend is going, what's like the A cost, the spend, and the sales on these things. Again, you can also filter by spend, but here's a good example where it's like you get something with really high A costs, but this one with the other ones with like big spend volume and high A costs, these ones are going to be a lot worse to the overall business impact. But within electrolytes, you can hit this drop down and then see a deeper view into what's actually going on with the search terms under these targets. And yeah, that element definitely needs to be cleaned up. Here's something else. Insulted electrolytes. That is the brand name, and it's going to a non-brand campaign. And so look, this is going to see, this stuff's going to throw off your data. This is going to throw in $43 of sales so far. It's showing a 33% conversion rate, albeit on low click data, I'm sure. Wherever the clicks column went, I kind of lost it, and I keep opening up my dumb Apple. That's I love Apple, but that's one thing that I really don't like is how they always try to throw in extra windows when you're out looking for them. So yeah, only 3 clicks for 1 sale, but what that's going to do is that's going to artificially kind of inflate the total amount of sales behind this keyword, behind this campaign, and that could also throw off your placement settings because it's very likely that insulted electrolytes, I'm guessing that probably was a top of search placement that got that sale, and that could throw off some stuff. So lots of cleanup needs to happen with these search terms and make sure that we're negating and getting better isolation, everything like that. And then in general, just this account clearly needs a bunch of bid optimizations and placement optimizations because these are just really high A costs ACOI, and also lots of things that are super high spend without sales. I mean, what was the AOV on these products again? $20.
38. Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. 20 to 40. So $20 to $40. Obviously, if you have like a 30% margin on that, then like you've got a $12 basically target cost per acquisition. So anything that's overspending $12 and not driving any sales yet, like all these bad boys, those all need their bids to be optimized or other unique strategies to come into place. So
yeah, and you brought up the point about the Insulted kind of slipping through the cracks on the non-brand campaigns. Just do a quick little search for Insulted and just get a total view. I was just looking at it. Overall, the spend isn't that much. We're looking at about $15 in spend in the last 2 months, but that attributed, $130 in sales, 50% conversion rate. Like Steven was saying, that could totally throw off your data, especially on an account where there's such little spend and little data. Like one of those branded sales could really throw off everything. So while it's not a ton of spend, not a big allocation of spend, this is a pretty low spending account anyway. And this account I wouldn't say this is a widely recognized brand or anything like that at this point. Probably not getting a ton of branded search volume, and any sort of brand defense stuff should be monitored and just kind of make sure it's going to the right campaigns, essentially.
Yep. And I will just really quickly separate out the campaigns that had brand in them versus the ones that did not claim to be brand. I'm not seeing anything explicitly claiming to be. So there is some conquesting element, mango chili.
Mm-hmm.
I could probably leave out anything that's going after element or any of those brand terms, but I'm going to go through it and for now, I'm just going to say these are all non-brand just for simplicity. So add these to a non-brand optimization group. Don't worry about what optimization groups are right now if you've never heard of those before. But now I'm going to come back to displacements. And now I'm going to make sure that we also have our optimization groups in here and then add that as a subgroup because I want to show you that we're seeing right now, like, oh yeah, top of search, look at that 11% conversion rate at top of search, looks great. But then when you hit the drop down here and you see the difference between the conversion rates for brand defense versus those non-brand campaigns, well, it's actually still pretty good. For non-brand, 10%. Okay, well, hold up. We saw that there were still some branded terms slipping through the cracks in those non-brands. So even that's not super accurate conversion rate at top of search. So you don't just necessarily like want to just absolutely launch to the moon with top of search targeting if you haven't properly cleaned up and these numbers haven't been reliable yet. I mean, that other episode that we were talking about where like, is A cost a vanity metric, and it basically comes down to like, well, are ad sales a vanity metric? And in this case, the ad sales at top of search could be vanity for your non-brand campaign if those were branded search terms that were coming through the cracks, in which case those conversion rates, everything are slightly venacious is a word I made up to describe vanity. Vain, that was the adjective I was looking for. All right. And on product pages, I also wanted to check this really quickly. Brand defense. This one brand defense campaign doesn't really seem to be doing anything there. But again, on the non-brand side of things, it doesn't seem like we've properly negated all of our ASIN targets as well. I mean, we didn't even think to check for that just yet. But if we grab like one of these ASINs and we come through and double check the search reports, I mean, oh, Andrew, do you have all the ASINs written down somewhere?
Yeah, they're in the ASIN list.
Oh, right here. Oh, perfect. Okay, this is going to make it so much easier. So look at this. So let's come to the search terms, and let's filter out we're only going to look at the campaign name doesn't contain brand. And then we're also going to say if the search term contains any of those ASINs or if it contains insult or in space salt. And so if we're looking at exclusively those non-brand campaigns, how much stuff did we get in there in the past like 2 months?
Well, you did contain.
And what was the total?
Be brand.
Yeah.
Or you're doing non-brand. Sorry.
Yeah, I got
confused for a second.
It's actually not as bad as I was expecting. So in the search terms, campaign, that really surprised me actually that we didn't get more from like those auto campaigns. Any of these search terms typically like, was that?
I would say, yeah, me too. That's surprising. I was expecting the auto campaigns, but it doesn't look like they, let me see. Are they doing a lot of auto campaigns? They might not be. I don't think they are.
Yeah, double check that for me. Amazon ads, campaigns.
Nah, it just looks like all manual targeting.
Okay, well then that explains it. Yeah, typically when people launch auto campaigns, if you don't negate all of your ASIN product targets, that could really throw the stuff off. So actually, this isn't too bad. Coming in here on these campaigns for electrolytes, they aren't salted. I mean, what we should probably do though, just to really clean things up, is you could just come into you could just say add negatives as a campaign negative phrase and product target. Select all of your campaigns except for anything that contains brand. You definitely don't want to negate your brand from your brand defense. And then you could say insult, and then add the negative product ASINs. You could do it at both campaign and ad group level. Get all the ad groups as well. So you can do that. I'm not going to do it just yet because I want to double check some other things, but that's what it would look like if you're trying to negate everything from all these campaigns. We should probably also come through here and double check that these historical negatives. So this is something else. Like, look, how many negatives do we have here? 420.
So this always happens. This always happens when you have like an agency running and they don't know how to optimize placements. They'll run a keyword. It'll get bad performance because it's all going to product pages and rest of search and not hitting top of search. And so it'll get a few clicks, 10, 20, 30 clicks, whatever the benchmark is at that so-called agency that's managing things. And it's just immediately negated. Right. And a lot of times those are really relevant keywords that we should be bidding on. We should just be bidding a little bit more conservatively than maybe they were previously. So we'll have to look through and see if any of those are relevant, if we're negating stuff that shouldn't be negated just because it had bad performance due to poor management, potentially.
Yeah. Like on our negative targeting episode, and also Andrew, I just realized I had the filters on for paused campaigns. So now if we look one more time for campaigns not containing brand, there is indeed $400 of sales almost. Yeah. So that's $400 of sales compared to what was the total sales for that whole period from May through June. The total sales was $1,400.
1.4K. Yeah.
1.4K, yeah. So over that time period, 368 of the 1,400, that's about 26% of the total sales for the ads were misattributed to non-brand campaigns when they were, in fact, brand defense. So what this will mean is that, like, basically if you start optimizing, like, oh, these are low ACoS keywords, I should really be increasing it. Like, wow, look at, we have a 5% ACoS or whatever on electrolyte. That's such a high volume keyword. We should crank it. But it's like, yeah, 100% of the sales for your phrase match electrolyte were all from your own branded terms. Now, I'm not saying that's the case here, but that's just an idea of what you want to be looking out for, making sure all of that's cleaned up so that you're getting a more accurate read, so you've reduced the vanity of your ACoS and ad sales metrics so you can properly and efficiently increase those sales. And then going back to the negative things, like Andrew was saying, people just have like fixed automation rules where there's like, oh yeah, auto negate after 10 clicks and no sales, just negate. And it's like, or if it has $10 in spend and no sales, negate. And like we were saying, sometimes you're running into these issues because your bids are not proper. Like you're bidding $10 a click when like you should only be bidding 25 cents or whatever. So a lot of times you can clean up those issues with bidding and not just negate the heck out of everything and over negate. So if you're taking over a new account, you want to double check that you didn't do over negation. Andrew, I'm thinking for this brand, we're definitely going to want to launch some new campaigns.
Absolutely.
What type of structure 100%. Are you thinking right now for these?
Yeah, I was actually hoping you'd jump over to the console real quick and we just poke in at the current structure so you can get a peek at kind of how they're currently doing things. So first thing that I said about this was they're doing a lot of single keyword campaigns. But the funny thing about single keyword campaigns is the reason why you may want to do those is to get really dialed in on the performance that you're getting. Now, a lot of these single keyword campaigns are broad and phrase match, number one. So those are going to be less precise and things like that. That's kind of a weird 103 targets in there. Not to clean that up too.
Well, it looks like they paused everything. They like reduced it down to a single keyword level. Yeah.
Okay.
So weird. Technically now it's a single keyword campaign, but who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows what's
But
going
the
on
point
here?
I was going to get to was that the reason why you would want to build those out into single keywords is to get more dialed in on your performance. And a lot of these are set up with broad and phrase. So that's by nature not going to be dialed in. But then number two, if you click into some of these exact match campaigns, not every single one of them, there's zero placement modification going on. There's no top of search, no rest of search, nothing. It's just blanket zeros. So if you're going to use single keyword campaigns, at least try to dial in the bids and the placements on them to make it worth your time and your while for taking all that time to set up all those campaigns. So first things first, if you're going to use that, you're going to use single keywords, make sure you're optimizing correctly. But number two, you asked me kind of what structure would I go with and all that type of stuff. Definitely going to be utilizing single product campaigns. So we'll have a campaign stack, a campaign group for each one of the individual child ASINs. Now, the reason why we're going to do that is so we can control and optimize more closely to the keyword product pairings, and we can manage budgets, manage allocations more effectively, and get a little more dialed in on the placements per product. We do see pretty varying conversion rates across these products. I think in the monthly performance
Sorry,
tracker.
do you want me to go back somewhere?
Yeah, just go to that monthly performance tracker real quick and just go to the total performance tab. And it should give, this is looking at, hold on a second. Let me clear this. Let's look at just 2024. And then let's look at the last 2 months. And I don't have it in here. Never mind. It's actually on the year-to-date heat map. So on that one, I have the conversion rates broken out by month, by product. So click on that one real quick, year-to-date. And you can see that we get, a 14% conversion rate on the variety pack. We get a 8% on mango, 6%, 5%, we just see much lower conversion rates on a couple of these variations. So breaking them out is going to give us that ability to optimize towards those conversion rates individually. You could do that at different levels, but our preferred method is single product campaigns. Now, within that, I'm going to be launching a variety of different tactics. We're going to start out with primarily non-brand and competitor product page targeting, just to keep it as incremental as possible. For each product, we may have, I haven't really thought all the way through on this yet, but given low budgets, we may not be too focused on auto campaigns. We'll see. But for every product, we'll have an auto campaign, a manual, broad, and phrase match, so like your research-based keyword campaign, exact match campaign, and then your research and exact match competitor product targeting campaigns. So for every product, we'll have those 5 campaigns for each one of them. And then from there, that's kind of our base. And then we'll get a lot of keyword data. We'll make some optimizations and figure out whether those keywords that were negated should have been negated. Could we just optimize and get better performance out of them? Stuff like that, we're going to learn. And then from there, we can branch off and identify the keywords that we might want to put into single keyword campaigns where we can control the bids and placements a little bit more closely. So we'll start from kind of a broader approach and dial it back in down into where we actually need to get more granular.
Yep. And also, your job as a PPC manager, even though you're not responsible for the listings and the product creation, all that kind of stuff, like the manufacturing of the actual products, you should definitely be bringing your insights to the client, because your job is to interpret the data to them. So obviously what we're seeing here is like the conversion rates for the variety pack is so much higher than any of the other ones. Like what could be a really good recommendation to the client is, hey, you should release a 24-pack version of the variety pack. So you can basically like double the total sales volume, double down on this thing that's working well. People seem to like the variety, committing to 28, which is basically like if you're taking one a day, that's like a full month supply. Committing to a month of one flavor is kind of rough. Mm-hmm. So you could buy the 12-pack to test it out, but then once you know that you like it, maybe people want to get, a 24-pack or a 28-pack version of the variety. So that could be some good advice.
And this is such a good case in point for this because, people don't know what flavor they want. They got to try the variety pack first. And we see that in the data. People buy that one first, figure out what they like, and then go from there, and they can go buy the other ones. I think that could also be a good indication that variety pack needs to be kind of our primary hero ad product. The main one that's getting most of the spend. We're putting most of the spend behind that because that is like the funnel to all the other variations that you have, and people gonna need to try that first one first before they come and purchase a larger pack. So that could indicate some strategy in terms of which products we're pushing and focusing on.
So we got a lot of work to do. We've got to do some work on. We're gonna have Luke Melrose help us out with getting some better videos and images for the listings, just to really focus on. I mean, the images and videos are fine, but the issue is this space is so dang competitive that fine is not fine, if you know what I mean. Like good is not good enough. So we want to be great, and so we're going to be doing that. And then we're going to be launching new campaigns. One thing that I always like to do with clients when we onboard a new client, at least on day one, we're going to optimize the bids on all of the current campaigns just to kind of stop some bleeding, because right now, like their spend, like this day, holy moly, I mean, it's only $100, which isn't like a lot of money in the grand scheme of things, but relative to like their baseline and everything like that, it's just crazy to spend that much on one day without any sales. So, Andrew, I think we should just do a quick round of optimizations. We'll do for like the last 60 days, picking slightly longer time frame just to kind of account for the fact that there is not a ton of spend in the first place. And then...
Yep. And they have the two big differences between the 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
we also didn't even account for
they do have a bunch of
non-pause
stuff
campaigns.
Paused.
Right. So if we clear that filter, yeah. I will probably, yeah. So we'll probably just like optimize everything. The pause stuff is going to be ignored in terms of our optimizations by default. In terms of target ACOS, Andrew, what are you feeling right now?
I mean, we've been up at like 130%. So
I know. I'm thinking, but historically also, they were doing okay at like,
yeah, they were on like 60 or something. Let me see. Where were we at?
The ad console. If we just look at like last May.
59.
60% was okay.
Yeah, so average before June was close to 52% year to date through May.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of where we're sitting. These lower spend levels.
I'm thinking with the heat wave coming up in July, people might be looking for a little extra hydration.
Be picking up.
Maybe we should, err on the slightly higher side of going towards 60 instead of 50 with that target ACOS.
Agreed.
And I will be using
and we also have.
Good. Sorry, there's a lag, guys. Go ahead, Andrew.
No, you're good. I was just going to say that we also have Prime Day coming up. It's in like 2 weeks from now. And
True.
I think they're running some deals and stuff like that. So it's like, is now the time that you really, want to be dialing things back and stuff like that. To a certain degree for this count, yes. But we have to keep that in mind that we are going to be picking up for Prime Day. But all right, go ahead.
Yeah. 60% still not too low. I mean, they're still losing money on it, right? If the margin's 30%. But we're banking on the fact that they have some decent organic sales volume. They've sold this product at like some trade shows and stuff. So that's where most of their recognition has come from. We're kind of just going to optimize everything here. Yeah, I'm just going to basically just say, let's try to shoot for 60%, reduce ACOS. We'll ship it. It's always the job of the manager to like make those decisions, like what date range am I using? What's my target ACOS going to be? What am I trying to prioritize with this round of optimizations? And then overall, I mean, I know that these placements, like top of search, just hasn't been getting any increases at all. I'm almost thinking we probably should have even gone balanced instead of reduce ACOS. We're going to do reduce ACOS for now, just because like we can always come back tomorrow and do another round of optimizations, or in 2 weeks, or in 2 days.
Within the next couple of days too, we're going to be launching all new campaigns too. So we'll have to pick all those up. We'll have a much better structure and setup, and it'll be a lot easier to see what we're looking at here too. I always like having my own campaign names named so I can see exactly what's going on. But yeah, we'll work on that over the next couple of days too.
Yeah. In summary of everything that we've seen here, I mean, they're not doing anything with placements. Definitely got to do that there. These are really small increases of just increasing by like 25% for top of search. Part of that's due to using that reduce ACOS prioritization. The reason why we're doing that is that we saw that there was a lot of like top of search sales coming through to non-brand campaigns, or even to like this keyword electrolyte that was like coming from like branded terms, blah, blah, blah. So we don't want to go too crazy anywhere with any of this stuff. We're going to set up a whole new structure. that'll probably be episode 2 of this whole like series thing, is going to be launching the new campaign structure and stuff like that. And for this one right now, we're mostly just trying to stop the bleeding. We were seeing 200% ACOS for a while. Lots of these things have really high ACOS. So we're just going to stop the bleeding as much as we can. There's a lot of work to be done on this account. We identified all these things from the audit around like issues with the campaign structure, issues with, obviously they're not even using any sponsor brand or display, so that's money on the table. We didn't even get a chance to talk about budgets. We did talk a bit about tactic allocations, obviously search and reports. I mean, there's a lot that goes into these audits. For us to normally do one of these audits, it takes like 3 to 4 hours. This was just kind of showing you guys in real time over the course of around 40 minutes or so, and hopefully it was helpful. But Andrew, anything else you want to leave people with in kind of recap of everything we just did?
Yeah, nothing further from me, Steven. Hopefully this video was helpful. Got a real impromptu look at an audit of an account that, you know, came to us and is expecting some great results. So this gives you a little bit of an insight into how we do things behind the scenes, what types of stuff we're looking at. In a normal audit, we'd be pulling a lot more data, looking at a lot more spreadsheets, doing a bunch of stuff like that. So that'll be for future episodes where we're starting to actually give you the behind the scenes of how we're manipulating spreadsheets and all that type of stuff. Will be super valuable, and will be great to have you come along with us and follow along the journey.
Yep, it'll be fun. So make sure you like and subscribe so you can see the journey to $1 million a month in sales. Just kidding. We said 100K a month in sales, but $1 million a month in sales, hopefully one day. Like and subscribe, follow along, and we'll see you guys next week.
All right. See you guys.